Hi there, I'm Dan Hollifield, and welcome to Last Man Standing. If you missed Stupid Clock tonight, it was definitely an episode of improv that should not have been missed. Believe me, I mean, my own performances were the least interesting of all of it, but we are going to try and continue on through there. Joe Dog might be here in a little bit. Chris might be here in a little bit. I think Bill is going to call it a night, and I'm pretty sure that John is going to call it a night. But other than that, we have the house to ourselves. There are no adults here. Time for a party. Um, no, oh wait, no, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. Thank goodness nobody's watching. I can do what I want. There's nobody watching. Oh, wait, no, somebody will be watching tomorrow. I don't know who they are. I don't know which is scarier, that somebody will be watching tomorrow or I know who they are. Well, I won't promise to be on my best behavior, but I will behave. And basically, if you want wiggle room, everything you do is some form of behavior. Um, we will leave value judgments out of this: good, bad, indifferent. Yeah. Um, I'll run about 2 or 3 commercials here while I try and come up with something to freeform about. Again, well, I did it for the first half hour of Stupid O'Clock. Everybody was busy, and I started the show by myself and kind of went, somebody will come in and save me later. Well, somebody did come in and save me later, and I'm looking forward to the same sort of um, participation. Oh, and I said that without sounding like an excerpt from Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's remarkable that I don't quote Tim Curry every chance I get. If
Okay.
you knew me personally, that would be one of those things you go, how do you
Hey
do
Dan.
that?
Hey Dan.
Yeah.
What's the star date Kirk was on the Enterprise?
Oh, that's a difficult one actually, because star dates are during TOS. Star dates were just random numbers. They hadn't figured out how to make it actually apply to a real calendar.
Yeah.
So that helped keep the show from being a continuous episodic thing to being um, monster of the week or show of the week or however you want to classify it. But it would have been 23rd century if I remember the retcons correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you ask?
Brother-in-law's needing some answers of when Kirk was on the Enterprise, and
Hmm.
he had 2264 to 2270, 2156 to 2320. That was definitely not. 2254 to 2260 and 2364 to 2370.
Well, if that's a shotgun pattern, it's going to hit something.
Yeah.
Um, best of my recollection, somewhere in the middle of the 2200s originally, but it might have been retconned by the time of the Next Generation movies.
Mm. And then he goes, which captain did the in the Almighty Q choose to babysit Q's son? That'd be Janeway.
Yeah, and Mrs. Q was not happy about that.
Yeah,
She was never complimentary to Madame
Janeway.
Janeway,
Yeah, yeah. What are you doing with that dog?
and I wasn't talking
Talking
about the
about the
puppy.
puppy.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, at that point in time, Janeway should got up and just whooped her ass up one side of that room and down the other.
shove a phaser up her nose and set it up to blow the fuck up. Yeah, I can
And
say that it's late at night.
yeah, and then of course there's the famous line when Cisco put Q on his ass. Picard never hit me. I'm not Picard.
You want seconds? Yep.
Well, I will tell you in this latest episode of, or the latest iteration of Picard, the second season
Mm-hmm.
that had, Q was in it. He was center.
Yes.
Honest to God, I thought I'd never cry for Q. I actually felt sorry for Q and actually got a teary eye.
Well, it probably took this long for somebody to figure out how to redeem the character from being basically low key to being an actual person.
Yeah. And it act these last Picard is the swan song farewell to next gen,
Mm-hmm.
because there are scenes in season one that you know closed a few books.
Mm-hmm.
There were scenes in season two that closed a few books, and even some of the stars that were involved were were told to send disinformation,
Oh yeah,
to tweet disinformation.
I can understand that. Yes.
And when you see them, it's like, oh yeah, and it's characters that you hated, that you liked the way they sent them off.
Well, I've got to say there were very few characters in original series and next gen that I hated. There were some that I thought were irredeemable, but sounds like all sorts of loose ends are being tied up.
Oh yeah, they're time, and in the most beautiful bow you could ever imagine.
Well, it's about time. It's about time because there were too many years where um, fans were um, well basically scorned for being idiot children that were interested in a TV show
Yeah,
instead of outright fans of a work. The human race is accomplished a lot, and recognizing that fans of a performance by artists are legitimate, even though people in the mainstream might not understand the attraction to the original media or the uh, the work itself.
we were geeks before geeks was cool.
We were outcasts. Um,
Like the Reba song says, I was country before country was cool.
hmm
We were geeks before geeks was cool.
We were geeks before there was a word for it. Back when geek meant somebody that ate a chicken at a county fair,
Yeah.
a live chicken at that. It was meant as an insult. We turned it into a badge of honor.
Yep. Oh.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, like I told you in Stupid O'clock, I've been fighting the yellow beast, and she about got the best of me today. Well, yesterday.
yeah,
Have you do sort of work on your own vehicles, right, Dan?
I have, and I have a working knowledge of pre-fuel injection
Yeah.
automobiles.
But you can understand tie rods and
Oh Lord, yeah, that's just simple mechanics. That's
yeah, and starters and yeah. But yeah. Oh, it's Barbara Mandrell. Yes. Excuse me, I was wrong, but yes.
Chris
Oh,
would know. Chris would know.
yeah, Chris would know.
If 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 it's a woman, Chris would know.
Absolutely.
I swear, I'm I'm gonna have to lock him up to let my wife loose at Hallowcon. He's too damn cute.
Well, I'll tell you, cuteness abounded tonight.
Hmm.
Chris said, "Oh, what a cute puppy dog." And I said, "You mean there was a puppy dog?" Yeah, the girl in the short shorts, and long legs. I said, "She had a puppy."
Okay, now I know that you left Donna at home,
Yep,
and now I know she never watches our shows.
yep. Uh, mm.
I'm still going to take out an insurance policy on you because she's going to kill your ass one day.
Hey, if she ain't in 35 years, man, I've got it made.
No, she's just saving it up. It's going to be epic.
Oh, you missed the epic. Ask Chris. You've seen pictures of the epic. I learned not to get in the line of fire anymore.
That took long enough.
Yep. I dropped my guard one time. I think
Notice how quietly I'm not asking any questions. If you want to say, you can, but if you don't want to, you don't have to.
okay, I guess Chris is back now. Chris had to leave on that one.
Mm.
Oh, but yeah, Dan, like I said, when the truck wouldn't start after I, fought the everything, I'm like,
After
what?
you've done all that and it still wouldn't start,
Well, it
I'd
would.
been I would have been kicking the damn thing.
Chris
Oh,
is trying to get the link entered.
he's probably
Uh,
trying to get the stupid o'clock link. Let me copy it this one, and I've still got the thingy. No, not that thingy, the other thingy. And
I just sent it. I just sent it to Chris again.
okay, uh, sometimes I lack the basic usage of the English language, but I improvise quite well.
Oh,
Um,
there was quite a few rather attractive women, career, walking up and down the pedestrian bridge of Chattanooga tonight. Of course, they were all guiding King Kong along with his other knuckle dragging, but
oh, okay. That eliminates the obvious question, but yeah.
yeah,
Thank, thank
I
you for
did
the clarification.
I did my damnedest not to stare.
I don't even try not to stare anymore.
Mhm.
They better take it as a compliment. I don't say anything, but I'm damn sure going to look. A pretty girl is absolute proof that there is a God and he is an artist of the highest caliber.
Yeah. And Chris says he's going to try to reboot the router again.
Kick it harder this time.
But yeah, when I opened up you know, it was cranking like a dream.
It just wasn't catching.
Wasn't catching. You know, and then when I let my foot off the throttle, it just. I mean, when it died,
Grrr.
I mean, it
Yep.
was. It did. It was. I'm going. Well, I know the motors. Bearings aren't seized up because It was full of oil, and before I even went to spin it, I got 4 rounds on the crank before I ever did anything.
Hmm.
That's enough to at least push some oil up and through.
Yeah.
So I went and I popped that air filter, and when the acorns and everything else fell out of it, it's like a chipmunk,
Yeah.
little bastard.
Yeah, really. And it takes 16 of them to make a good meal. Chipmunks, I mean.
Damn, you must feed them well down there, but take a good 2 dozen for ones around here.
I was remembering the ones in East Tennessee. They were, you know, half the size of rabbits, basically. And the squirrels were pretty damn big, too. Uh,
But yeah, I mean, once
and
I pulled that air filter off, it cranked up, and then once Chris got over here, I said, "Let me show you what it's doing." I cranked it up, and it just purred like a kitten. I'm going, "You piece of shit."
it, don't blame the machine for what the squirrels did, or
Yeah.
chipmunks, as the case may be.
Oh,
Um,
I am gonna go blow the. Oh, I think Chris is fed up with technology.
um, welcome to the club. Welcome to the 21st century. If it don't work, slap the
Uh,
bugger out of it. Damn.
but yeah,
I,
I'm
I
gonna.
shouldn't have to self censor on this show. Yeah.
I am gonna pull the filter out tomorrow, and I've got an air compressor here, but my dad's got a 100-gallon air compressor.
Yeah. A little bit more pressure.
It's
As long
got
as you don't damage the paper the filter is made out of.
well, the damn thing is a V V
A V
cylinder,
twin.
a
Yeah.
V twin air compressor.
Uh huh. Daddy
So,
got one too. Yeah. Well, Daddy had one. We've still got it in the family. Yeah.
but
Uh.
yeah, which means, and pretty much the way it's timed, every
Mhm.
time it's almost like a 2-cycle engine. Every time it goes up, it's pressurizing.
Mhm.
Don't take
You
no time to fill up, and you really have to be blowing a lot of air out to get it to kick on.
you get 120 pounds of pressure coming out of the outlet hose really quick.
Yep.
And the if the tank is good enough size, it stays 120 pounds for quite a while. Maybe not enough to do the entire job quickly, but with with carefully timed brakes to
Oh,
let off of the pressure on the outlet, you can let it build back up again in a hurry.
the last guy that put a starter on the truck, I hope I don't ever see him again.
Was his name Moses?
I don't know. But it was either Hercules or Samson.
Oh, yeah. The bolts were rather snug, I assume.
I have an electric impact wrench, full throttle. It was 10 seconds before the nut come loose.
That's the way that the lug nuts on my tires are now. I can't, if I have a flat tire on the road, I have to call somebody. They actually take a torque wrench and torque it up to more than me standing on a tire iron can loosen. And I weigh 190 freaking pounds.
Well, when I worked for that ARCA race team, do you know what minimum torque requirement is on a car that runs 200 miles an hour at Daytona?
More than a 190-pound man can get loose with a tire iron.
85 pounds.
They crank mine to 120.
85 pounds is what those race cars torque to.
I
And
know
I,
they I know they do it because the only way I can get a flat changed is to go back to them or call a mechanic to come out, at which my insurance will pay for as emergency roadside labor and service. But
I
there's all
sign
kinds of paperwork.
I sign a waiver. They tell me, we're talking a lug nut smaller than my pinky,
Hmm.
115 pounds. I'm going, no. I sign a waiver every time specifying I want no more than 90 pounds on the lug. They said, well, if the wheel falls off, it's your fault. Not if you torque it to If you torque 5 lug nuts to 90 pounds, it's not gonna fall off.
Oh, Chris's router is not cooperating.
Okay, Chris, that's good.
It's
Well,
all
it's
right.
not
It's all
good.
right.
It's okay. Is what I'm trying to say. It
It's it's not your fault.
it's not your fault. It's your cheap ass service.
Yeah.
And
My
Chris is talking about upgrading, and I think this should be the final straw. Go ahead and do it.
Yep, my the only service available to us. There's an independent uh, watchdog group that is checking our connection speeds. So the service provider has unthrottled us. So I was using two different computers, the laptop, and Lindsay was using the Roku in the living room at the same time. There was not a single instance of buffering going on. Normally, I can't watch one YouTube video without 30 minutes of buffering. But right now, they're showing off for the inspectors.
Yeah.
And if there's ever a reputable
There
corporation
he
comes
is.
in, hey, suddenly a
Right
ghost
after you
appears.
started saying that, it started clicking. So just a
Hey,
late reaction.
yeah, yeah. Joe Dog told you to get another company, and they went, "Oh, no, no, no. Let's let him connect this time."
Yeah, they better do more than just this time.
Well, you know, if you've got
I
somebody
found
else,
out.
if you got somebody else available, a trial period would not be a lick of miss.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to make sure I got enough in case anything unexpected comes up that's not going to put me in a tight.
Yeah. Um, I've been doing that for the last 2 years, and
You know, I would.
Lindsay's new kitchen is going to set me back several
25,
weeks.
25, 25 minimum.
Um, depends on where you're putting the decimal point. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put it to you this way: it's 3 spots past the 5.
We're talking about just a little under $4,000. What she's got picked out.
Oh, so
If
you're
it's
not going
only $4,000, you're doing good because most baths or kitchen remodels are anywhere from 15 minimum to usually 25 or 30.
I'm talking about refrigerator, stove, microwave, beer fridge. That's
That ain't
it.
bad.
Yeah. Counters and countertops and drawers and doors. I have to do.
Cabinetry, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I can do carpentry. Um, you've seen photographs of some of the stuff I built for the house. You know
Yeah,
I know which end of a hammer to hang on to, and I can actually saw a board carefully if I'm concentrate.
yeah.
But yeah, when Greg was under there with me, and I put a cheater bar on a ratchet and couldn't get it to break loose. I told him, go get me the impact. Of course, it's an electric impact, but still, it's an
Yeah,
impact. I mean, it was wide open, just zoom. And I
yep.
mean, when it come down, I had to get out of the way because it would have pinned me to the ground.
Yeah.
Or at least give you a black eye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I didn't catch everything that you said while I was trying to get my internet to cooperate, but yeah, there was some nice scenery there tonight.
Um, now, on the subject of cheater bars, uh, Daddy had to change the one of the back tires on a mid-size Ford tractor.
yeah,
We're talking inch and three quarter lug nuts,
yeah,
Hmm.
and he had the 1 inch drive
I'm listening.
handle, and he put an 8 foot cast iron pipe over the end of that ratchet handle. It wasn't a ratchet. It was just
Breaker
a
bar.
socket handle.
Breaker bar.
Yep. And jumped up and down on it. And Daddy was about 195 pounds, and you know could pretty much give the Hulk a run for his money in a knockdown drag out. We're talking a very fit man. Broke the frickin' wrench. It was a craftsman.
Hmm.
He took it to Sears, walked in there and laid the pieces on the desk at the checkout. Goes, this is still guaranteed, right? And they looked at the wrench, and they looked at Daddy, and they looked at the wrench, and they looked at Daddy, and they said, yes, sir. We'll be right back with a replacement. Just don't don't break anything.
Yeah,
I mean, and it didn't hurt that Dad looked like Superman. Basically, Clark Kent without the glasses, had the spit curl coming down, and black hair, blue eyes at 50 years old, and they go, "Yes, sir. You get a free one right now. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Don't break anything, especially me." Um,
of course they're wondering what the hell's he trying to twist.
they're going, "How the hell did he break this piece of chrome steel?"
Yeah, they don't make them like they once did, though.
I know, but they don't make them like Daddy anymore either.
No,
Oh Lord.
that generation was something else.
Oh, they make them like that, but they got to spend 6 hours a day in the gym 5 days a week.
just buy a farm, work.
You know.
Yeah.
18 hours a day, 7 days a week, 35 years.
They can't handle it.
I know, I know, I know. I was doing good to handle the, well, it wasn't 35 years, but about 20. And I survived. I'm not
Yeah.
a massively hunked form of manhood nowadays, but I'm, you know, 30 years beyond the farm.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, beer fridge, beer fridge. You have my name on it.
All right.
Ah,
Hmm.
give me 3 steps.
Yep. That's what I
It's
did. I gave you all three of them.
It was the three back that was the hard part. Ah, because
No,
Lindsay
Dan,
would.
I went full screen on you while you
Yeah.
walked away, and as you were walking back, I put it back to us.
Oh,
So
well,
they saw you leave, and they saw you come back.
they
Oh,
got to see the
funny.
beer gut coming back and the tail of my shirt flopping over my butt walking away. So, I can't imagine that's going to be anybody's list of sexy moments of internet history.
Oh, and
Did
Chris, I told Dan that Monday we're gonna enter a crystal lady contest,
yeah.
and we may go as a grudge match just to see who can outdo the other one. And then
Yeah.
remember, Donna's got to ride home with me.
Oh man, that's gonna be interesting. Did you see the pictures I posted to the group
Yeah,
chat from
I did.
earlier tonight?
I did.
This isn't all of them, Dan. I posted them on my personal page, but these are some of the better ones.
Share away.
I tried to get a little bit of it's in a group chat. Anybody wants to share it?
Oh, oh. Hmm? I
There should be 8 of them. I thought I sent 8 of them.
don't see anything besides you saying "hang on" at 126.
No,
No,
no, I'm talking about the
in
messenger
the
chat.
link, in the link.
Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah, guys, I hate to do this, but
I know you had a long day.
yeah, I just, the fuel light came on right before Last Man Standing started.
Still not seeing any photos
He'll
there.
be right after Bill's last photo. Him with his Illinois T-shirt.
Yeah, you need to scroll up.
No, I probably need to click on a different damn name here.
The stupid
New
o'clock.
stupid o'clock.
Oh, fireworks. Yes.
Yeah, there's fireworks,
Okay.
Southern Belle, pictures of the river, great cloud.
Yes, I noticed the Southern Belle. She's got a nice little backyard swing there.
Yeah.
Um, Not going to post that one because people think I'm a pervert. That's a little girl.
Well,
Alright,
she just happened to be in the photo when I took the.
alright, but I'm out of here, guys, because Dan's talking about that stuff, and I'm, you know, there's
You're
that.
on probation.
Yeah. Alright, thanks, Dan, for getting, stupid o'clock running until I got home. And
Hey, it's my pleasure. A little bit of advance warning would be nice, but you probably didn't have time.
well,
I improvised as best I could.
I told you we weren't going to be here, and you said I'll run it. Of course, you was also in the green room, so
Oh, okay. Well, that
Yeah,
was
it
Friday
probably had
night.
a lot to do with it.
Yeah, really. Things that happened Friday night, I'm not really going to remember very much on Saturday.
all right. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll
You're
talk.
welcome.
And Chris, you'll know something.
I'll know something Monday morning because, like I said, there's no way I'll be able to find out tomorrow. But
Yeah.
like I said, as soon as I find out something, I'll let you know. But I told you might want to go ahead and send me that information because I may need it.
All right, I will. and message John the same thing.
Okay.
All right, I'll holler at y'all later.
All
All
right.
right.
Good night.
Good night.
Sleep tight.
Yes, I want to leave the studio. You didn't ask me that while I was talking on the damn phone. All right, goodbye.
That is a nice boat.
Yeah.
That is a very nice boat. And I'm.
Well, I tried to take a good picture because I was kind of moving as I was taking the pictures. So
Mm-hmm. Oop. Not going to let me select another one without going to the other window. Let's see. Uh, did that shift? Yes, it did.
yep.
Okay, I can do that. The fireworks. Oh, yeah. And here we go.
Yeah,
We're
they did
going to
their
go.
4th of July tonight.
Yeah. And oh, if that was sharper focus, that would be another brilliant explosion of fireworks.
Well, I was moving as I took it. That's why it's a
Well,
little
I'm
blurry.
not blaming you. I'm not blaming you. A lot of modern cameras cannot cope with changing conditions that early. Oh wow, that is which two bridges are that?
Okay, I'm on the Walnut Street pedestrian bridge.
Uh huh. Oh,
That is the
okay,
Market Street bridge in the
okay.
middle there, and in the distance you can see the El Jadi Bridge.
Yeah, now I can. Now that you mentioned it, I should look for it. Yeah, that's beautiful, especially with the sunset and the clouds like that. That's a really nice
And
photograph.
if you look past the part of the Market Street Bridge that can be raised up with that blue steel framing,
Hmm.
you can see just to the left of it the Tennessee Aquarium
Oh yeah, with the
with the
cat ears
triangular
on it.
spires.
Yeah, the cat ears. Yeah,
Yep.
obviously it was modeled on a catfish. No,
And and then there's some of the yachts that are there along the riverfront too. Now
oh,
this
that
is the opposite side, looking the opposite direction. There's a little island there.
yep. So that's upstream.
Yeah, that's the Tennessee River.
Hmm.
That's going towards Chickamauga Dam.
Okay.
If you look on the hill, there's some cliffs there, and right above it is the Hunter Museum of Art.
On the right hand side.
Yeah, on the right hand side, up there at the
Okay.
top.
Yeah. Yeah, I can make it out. Um, Still, those are some pretty buildings, even though
Yeah,
the lake and the boats kind of overpower.
yeah. Well, and I love the cloud formations in the
Well,
background.
yeah, yeah. You've not only got stratospheric winds, but you've got the lower clouds that are moving probably crosswise. So you got the upper wind moving in one direction and the lower wind moving in a different direction than the
Yeah.
cloud formations. Which, if I had seen those around here, I go, I wish it would rain, but that doesn't look like rain. Um, let's see, where
Well,
did it
it
go?
rained
Oh,
earlier in the day. That's
that's
Bill and
Bill.
his stuff.
Okay, so I'm basically going backwards.
Yeah.
So let's see. There we go. That's
And
somebody in
that's the
concert.
Chattanooga Symphony under that stage pavilion.
Oh wow. What were they playing?
They actually played the theme to Star Wars, the main theme
Hmm.
to it. They did some Star Trek, and they did the main theme from the 78, I think it was, Superman movie
Okay.
with
Yeah,
Christopher Reeve.
that would have been the one with a really impressive soundtrack. Yeah.
And they also did, oh, it was from Copeland's Appalachian Spring, and it's the Hoedown.
Hey, Copeland. Yes. The
I mean, he's one of America's premier
Mhm.
composers.
Yep.
And interesting enough, my younger brother was with me, and he's like, "Where have I heard that from before?" I said, "It's from Aaron Copland's Appalachian Spring Symphony." But I said, "But the yeah, it was used in the beef. It's what's for dinner commercials back in the
Yeah.
day." It's
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah." And there's some of the boats on the river enjoying the thing, and you can see the steps there where they sometimes have concerts.
Mhm. In the
Um,
background, yeah.
yeah,
Some of those are really nice boats. Some of them are,
yeah,
well, not quite as nice, but
yeah,
perfectly functional.
yeah,
And that's the earliest ones in here. So
yeah,
unless we want to go back to sharing Bill's
yeah.
photos all over again.
Like I said, I only sent about 8 of them. I posted probably close to, I don't know, somewhere between 14 and 20, maybe, on my
Mm,
personal page. So if you decide you want to, you can go ahead and look at it. It got pretty good response from.
I may indeed give that a good viewing. Um, that's it's one of the prettier parts of the river right there.
Yeah.
It really is. I
Well,
mean,
as
I'm familiar with the river, and I know some of the parts that are forgettable, and some of the
mhm.
ones that are very photogenic. And that's
Well,
one of the more photogenic areas right there.
the funny thing is, I captioned all the picture. Well, actually, there's closer to 30 I posted, and I captioned it with "They don't call it the scenic city for nothing."
Hey, you you hit the nail on the head with that one. Really. Uh, yeah, we had some fireworks here. Lindsay had to go outside and start calling the cats in because they were getting terrified by the explosions. Um, they're used to wild animals, but they're not used to fireworks.
Yeah,
So I don't know how many are still in the house or how many she let back out once the fireworks died down. And pretty much ceased right now. I don't hear anything out there. So it's probably
but
time for me to take the Desert Eagle and go and punch a hole in somebody's roof 6 miles away. But no, no, I won't do that. That's
it's it's
irresponsible.
it's funny. Tonight they also the Chattanooga Lookouts have a promotional night each season
Hmm.
where they give away a used car at the beginning or end, and it was this night as well. Which if I hadn't have been there watching the city fireworks display, um, one would have tried tried my luck at that. And the funny thing is, they had fireworks too, but they were contractually obligated to wait till after the city of Chattanooga had done their show
Hmm.
before they did theirs.
Yeah. Yep. It winds up that way sometimes. Um, especially over in behind me actually,
Mm-hmm.
Clark County, south of here.
Yeah.
They will have a fairly good fireworks show at one of the parks in the city
Mm-hmm.
where there's places where folks can park the cars, get out on the green and relax, and then uh, uh, what is traditionally a very good fireworks show. But we're up until it rained tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the middle of a drought, and I did not think that anybody in their right mind would be setting off fireworks because could burn the entire county down. But we had it was thundering down rain. I mean, just bucketing. So the ground got wet,
Mm-hmm.
and the people with fireworks felt like it was safe, and they went for it without even waiting for day after tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But day after tomorrow, I hope we get some more rain so that there's not a fire hazard
Yeah.
because we really do not want entire neighborhoods to go up in flames because somebody felt like celebrating the 4th of July. Um,
Well, well, the thing is, I remember everybody complaining about this winter, us getting a bunch of rain and stuff like that, and I'm always like, look, as annoying as it is, I would much rather have a bunch of rain in the wintertime because that usually staves off a drought in the summertime.
yes, yes. We haven't had any problem with the well going dry, but people with shallower wells might have had cause to complain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my well is 200 feet deep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if somebody's got a 60-foot well, the water table might have dropped enough to affect them
Yeah.
because it's been exceptionally dry here.
Yeah.
We have not had rain since early spring,
Yeah.
and it's now midsummer. So we've had droughts before, and Lindsay thinks that she's never seen a drought this bad before, but she has. It's just been long enough ago to where she doesn't remember it.
Yeah.
Um, I when she got here in 2005, we were in the middle of one awful drought,
Yeah.
and it by some miracle, about 2 or 3 months later, we got rain, and we got rain, and we got rain, and we got rain, and I'm just looking out the window and going, "Thank you, we needed this." Then,
Well, I remember one year we had kind of gotten a mini drought, and then we got so much rain it ruined the crops,
yeah,
and then it got to be kind of a mini drought again, and then start raining again till it got cold weather.
yep.
So you
Um,
can have rain to avoid a drought, but if you get too much in too short of a time, it ain't good.
this is true. This is true. The only thing that it helps is the water table,
Yeah,
not what's growing on the ground.
yeah,
If you get garden crops and whatnot that are growing mold because you
yeah,
had too much rain, then basically your garden was a waste of time because you're not going to get anything you can actually eat. It's going to
yeah.
grow fungus before you can pluck it.
Because I remember grandfather having some good watermelons that went bad because we got so dang much rain. And then the spells where it dried out, some that were kind of coming along fairly well
Hmm.
just imploded and rotted.
I can remember years when we had sweet corn that we only got like one ear off of each stalk because the other five on that stalk grew fungus.
Yeah,
It got too wet, and we had to pick the corn that was good when it was good during the dry weather. We were hoping that we get a moderate amount of rain, but we got floods, and you do not want an ear of corn that's growing this gray stuff off of
yeah.
it. I mean,
Well,
looks like a mushroom, but it ain't a mushroom.
Grandfather got to where he didn't really plant a lot of corn there towards the end of his gardening years because
Hmm.
between the squirrels and the deer, he didn't get that big of a harvest.
I swear, my daddy would plant 3 acres of vegetables for 5 people.
Oh yeah.
That's
Well, grandfather was
overkill.
all the time
That
giving
is
away.
that is overkill. Him and dad and mom would both take grocery sacks full of stuff to work trying to give it away
Yep.
because if they couldn't give it away, I mean, it was way more than what we needed for the family.
Yeah.
And mom would can corn and tomatoes and all everything she could, beans, everything she could, and the rest of it had to be given away. Otherwise, it would have rotted on the vine.
Yeah.
Seriously. So uh,
But yeah, that was. I remember when the blizzard came here.
yeah,
My grandfather had a wood burning stove, and they were snowdrifts up to my chest.
yes.
And
This was
but
late 70s or late
no, this was a blizzard in
90s.
'93.
93, early 90s. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
There were so many, really.
Well, um, I remember seeing, because Channel 2 News had started doing their
Yeah.
5 o'clock shows, and I saw the map that Glenn Burns had, and it said 16 to 20 inches, and I'm like, yeah, I might ought to bring some extra wood down to the house.
Yeah, really. Clear a path to the woods.
Because we had pretty good piles of it that were covered up with tarps and
Hmm.
whatnot, but um, like I said, when I saw that, something just told me I needed to get more, and it's a good thing I did because the extra that I brought down would use if the fire went out because he had a wood burning stove, and we would use it to start it if it went out, and then the wet, once we had the fire going good, we could use it. Or I won't say wet, I'll say damp.
Yeah.
We basically threw everything in the refrigerators and freezers out into the snow to keep it cold.
Yeah. Because the power was going to
Yeah, the
go out.
power was out, and
Well, if it hadn't already gone out, it would. So,
well, the
yeah.
thing is, grandmother had she had to make grandfather at least one pan of cornbread a day, every day, whether he needed it or not, because he thought he wasn't going to live without it. Because they were poor growing up, and sometimes that's the only thing they had was cornbread and milk.
Hmm. Yep.
We we had some milk bought up, and we had some cornmeal and all that. So she'd take her cast iron skillets and make cornbread on the thing, and she had canned green beans. She had some shelled and some, loose and all in it,
Yeah.
and various other things. So she'd lift up the vent on the thing and cook on the stove, and
Oh, yeah.
we had
Yeah.
we ate better than a lot of folks did during that time because the power was out for at least 10 days, and it was almost 14, I think. And like I said, we got by,
I
but it was on.
remember I remember a few winters when I was very young that we went to Granny Hollifield's in oh just next door to Caryville, Tennessee,
Mm-hmm,
and she had a coal burning stove to heat
mm-hmm,
the house, and if the electricity went off, you could use that coal burning stove.
Mhm.
I mean, it wasn't a cast iron thing, but her sister across the road
Mhm.
had about 5 acres of cast iron stove, coal
Mhm.
burning stove, and that was what she cooked on. And good Lord, that woman could cook, but you know, do you realize how experienced you have to be with a coal burning, wood burning stove,
Mhm.
cast iron stove, to be able to bake a birthday cake as well as uh, fry eggs and bacon and boil water for coffee and tea and
Oh
whatnot
yeah.
on the same damn thing with the same fire. And Aunt Mona was she might have been scatterbrained, but
Yeah.
the woman knew that stove. She could cook like nobody's business. And Aunt B, next door, she was making do with um, wasn't a cast iron stove, the furnace,
Mhm.
but you could cook on top of it
Mhm.
if you were so inclined, and Granny Hollifield could cook on top of her uh, coal coal burning furnace, but
Yep.
you had to be careful because there are some stuff that you could use in the kitchen,
Mhm.
but you couldn't use it on something that was burning coal because the temperature was not regulated, and you might wind up melting the handle off of some stuff. But there were times when I remember snow on the ground, and my cousin and I went out and checked his rabbit traps.
Mhm.
I mean, he had the box type rabbit traps, which is where I learned how to do that, and I learned that if a skunk or a possum or a raccoon got in one of those rabbit traps, you might as well burn it because you're never going to get another rabbit. Not in that
Mhm.
box, because the wood would soak up their scent, and
Mhm.
the rabbits would not go in there ever again.
Yeah.
And oh Lord, go fishing on the lake nearby, and oh my God, there's so many varieties of, well, I guess you would call them game fish. They're
Mhm.
not stuff like carp or
Mhm.
the things that you would only eat if you had nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm talking about um, trout and big mouth bass and crappie and
Mhm.
if you got in the shallow waters, you could get brim the size of a fucking frying pan. I
Wow.
mean, I mean, to me, brim are these little bitty things that would
Mhm.
barely cover a saucer for a cup of coffee.
Mhm.
These things would. They'd been there in that lake for a long time, and this one of the TVA lakes with dams set along to generate electricity ever so
Mhm.
often.
That's
So they,
probably Norris Lake Dam.
yeah, it was Norris indeed. It was Norris.
Um. Yeah. Sounds sounds like those brim are about the size of flounder from what you're talking about.
Uh, I They had now I wouldn't catch anything that big, but uh, Uncle Glenn and Daddy would. I mean, one of them would fill up a frying pan.
Wow.
I'm talking a cast iron frying pan. And I'm going. Is this normal or is this because Oak Ridge is just over there?
Yeah, I imagine there might be a few. The Savannah River is a little bit large.
Does this thing glow in the dark? Oh,
Ma- ma-
and
m-
Daddy
ma-
did not help matters talking about the two-headed geese in the cooling pond outside the nuclear power plant.
oh man.
I knew he was joking at the time, but I was only about 7, so you know.
You were still a little bit gullible back then.
Oh, I would believe it, but I go, "Are you sure you're not putting me on?"
It's
Oh Lord,
amazing how some people can keep a straight face when they're
I know, I
pulling
know, I
your
know.
leg.
Joe Dog tries, but he can't keep his mouth from twitching.
No, he eventually loses it because he sees your reaction and he can't help it.
No, he's got this. I got you, and that's where he gives it away. If he didn't
Yeah.
do that gotcha, then he could string you on for a long time. If you got a good poker face,
Oh
you can
man.
tell tall tales to people all day long.
I
Good
used to
Lord.
work with this guy. He could say some of the most outrageous stuff you could ever imagine. And he could still manage to keep a straight face.
That is a
I'm
master
thinking, I
storyteller
don't
right
know
there.
if you I'm thinking, I don't know if you can play poker, but if you can, you have the opportunity to make a lot of money because you being able to keep a straight face.
Actually, if it was an older gentleman, he'd already been told, you ain't welcome at this table.
No, actually, he was younger than me.
Oh, okay.
And remind me to tell you some of his stories when you and me are in person again because they're not stuff that I would repeat over the air.
Yeah, really, it's not stuff we want recorded. No,
No,
mhm.
no,
I have had experiences like that myself where people have related things that even if I cleaned them up,
Dan, the green room would be silent or appalled. That's how bad.
you do remember that there are things when I just sit there in the green room, I go, not even in here, honey, not even in here. I can't
Oh,
say that.
trust me, this would be one of those things. But I got to hand it to him. I've never seen nothing quite like it.
Oh, here's something right out of left field. This is
Okay.
going to be totally unexpected. Have you ever seen any of the wedding pictures for Shirley Temple when she got married to her first husband? She
No,
was
don't
seven.
believe I have.
She was 17. He was 24, and they showed a photo of her and her bridesmaids.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at all the bridesmaids. I'm going, that's Betty Page. I know that face. That's Betty Page. I could be wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, it would have been the right era.
Well, yeah.
Uh, and Betty did try and break into Hollywood, but she was not willing to undergo the casting couch,
Well,
so she did not wind up making it big in movies.
not only that, she was such a free spirit. I don't know if she could have been tamed for public
No,
consumption.
well, having
But she
having
definitely had the sparkle in her eye and a smile on her face that could draw a guy in, and that doesn't
well,
include the
and
rest
that's
of
the thing, yeah. Um, if she was actually handed a decent script and was allowed to not exactly be herself, but become the character,
it. Mm-hmm.
she would have been a big hit. But no, the producers kept trying to throw her down on the casting couch, and she would not stand for it or lay down for it, as the case may
I
be.
understand. But Shirley Temple was a beautiful young lady and pretty
Oh
woman
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. Um, Unfortunately, her first husband was an idiot. I mean,
Well, there are a few of
he
those
started
around.
he started fooling around on her right after they were married. I'm going, Are you stupid?
Yeah.
Do you see what you did? That moron.
Well, look at Eddie Fisher. He wasn't that pretty of a guy, but he had women.
I mean, no, no, no. You've got this beautiful woman you're married to.
Mm,
She's got a brain. She knows how to use it. She's not afraid. Why are you fooling around with drunk blondes in a bar?
because some guys can't resist. They have no self control.
Ah,
No brains or no sense either, especially where she was concerned. But look at Eddie Fisher. I mean,
well, yeah. Uh,
Debbie Reynolds,
mm-hmm.
Elizabeth Taylor.
And he screwed it up with both of them.
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I, that's
Elizabeth's problem was she was so damn beautiful she could get anybody she wanted. And
well,
Debbie Reynolds wasn't far from that either.
I'd say pretty much damn equal.
Yeah.
Might not had the same level of success in the movies, but as
No.
far as
As far as beauty, they were neck and neck.
as far as looks and brains, yeah, they were definitely on a par. Um,
Um,
wasn't neither one of
Debbie
them
was
stupid.
probably a little sweeter and more gentle than Elizabeth was, because Elizabeth could be,
Hey, she was used to some shit. She
yeah,
knew how to deal
she
with
could
it.
deal it out too,
Yeah. Yep.
and she wasn't afraid to.
Yeah, that's pretty much why Richard Burton was able to get a second shot.
Yeah,
Oh Lord.
but he had an
Screwed up
incredible
once and
career.
she gave him a second chance. Good Lord. I
Well, he blew that too, but and that's one of those deals.
well,
I think they were so much alike that if they spent too much time around each other, they got on each other's nerves too much.
I have known people like that actually, and they spent a great deal of time pursuing separate interests. The only reason they made it a success is because they were not constantly together.
Yeah.
Um, no, I'm serious. I mean, these weren't even uh, writers and whatever, actresses, because I haven't
Hey,
known that
Mike.
many actors and actresses. But there have been a lot of people that were um, drawn to each other,
Hmm.
but they were so much alike, and opposites attract.
Yeah.
So
Well, you
they
don't
they
want
wound up
somebody.
finding a way to spend time away from each other without having to
Yeah.
end the relationship.
Well, the saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I mean, if you're
Well,
too much alike, it's going to cause problems. Good morning, Mike.
hey, how you doing? Uh, we are 11 minutes into the second hour. Um, Lord have mercy. I've been preforming here for so long tonight. I'm running out of ways to vamp. Um,
If you give me a second, I'm going to get something to drink, and then I'll come back in and I'll see if I
hey,
can't pick up the pace a little bit.
go right ahead. Go right
I'll be
ahead.
right back. I'm listening.
Um, Now I did consult with a few people on the Larry Niven mailing list earlier today on our monthly chat, and Larry was there, and which is always a pleasure. Um, um, we pretty much, if you look up topic drift in the Urban Dictionary, there is a entry that says this has been defined by the Larry Niven mailing list, because you might start off talking about a Larry Niven short story, and then within 30 minutes, you're talking about the love life of aardvarks or something. And at 30 minutes after that, it'll be something totally different from that because we ramble quite a bit, and we always have. I've been a member of that mailing list since 1995, and there are chats in that list that we have chat logs of that Larry has been in attendance for, and he goes, "Hey, that's a good idea. That's I've got to think about that." And it turns out we helped him write another book.
That's
We
awesome.
we came up with something off the wall that triggered his imagination, and he might not have used 10% of it, but we were there, and he has actually thanked us for helping him come up with the idea for this book or that book or this story or whatever. Um, it, it's really an honor, I swear. But then amongst ourselves, we
Mm-hmm.
get just as random. So after Larry had left today, and I felt
Mm-hmm.
like it was appropriate to ask a writerly question of these um, extreme fans of Larry's and going, "Hey, y'all are some of the smartest people I know. Let me tell you, or let me ask you,
Mm-hmm.
if you had to choose a villain for a story, um, would you be more interested in this or this or this?" And a couple of them answered me right out, go, "Hey, hey, that's interesting. That's interesting. Nobody's done that before." And I'm going, "Thank you. That's what I'm going to do." So I may get to finish the fantasy novel here in the next few weeks and send
Okay.
it off to the publisher, and then I will be able to get on to contractually obligated jobs and get another Spaceport Bar book of short stories written, and then I can go on to the next contractually obligated job, which is other people's stories in my Spaceport Bar that I have been asked to edit and
Cool.
put together an anthology. So I'm looking forward to that really because the thing that has happened in my Spaceport Bar is
Mm.
there are so many people coming up with so many different ideas that they have taken it in directions I would never imagine, and they have written fantastic stories that I would never have thought of.
Well,
And
that's
I
good.
I want people to know, I want people to see this stuff and them to get paid for what they've written
Yeah.
because it's amazing, absolutely amazing stuff.
As Mike said, sparking the idea is always a good thing.
Oh
Mike, do
Lord,
you
yeah.
want a link to join in tonight?
I don't think I sent it to him already. He was probably asleep if I did, but let's see. Do I? Yeah, I still have the chat open, and let me see if that um, shit hits the fan sort of link. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the one. It ends in shit hits the fan. Yeah. Uh, hey, I can't. It's a mnemonic. I really um,
Whatever
I,
works.
hey, I take advantage of these things. It keeps me from posting a link from 6 weeks ago. There he is.
Morning.
Good
Oh,
morning.
I've had a couple of very intense days.
Very intense
Oh.
days. What's going on in your world?
Well, Friday we had a 15-hour day. I started at 6:30 in the morning and I got home at 9:30 p.m. Um, And then the next day in the morning, and that was an awful day. Like, yeah, I could go down the list again, but I just don't want. I want to let it go.
Okay, was that
Hey, if you need
Friday
to
or the
blow off
day after?
steam, blow off steam.
No, I already did. So I'm like,
Okay.
okay, moment's over. We fixed everything, so it's fine. But then yesterday, I wake up, make my coffee, put on my PC, instantly get a message from my dad. Hey, if you're up, call me. So I call him. I'm coming over in 20 minutes, and we're gonna start cleaning up. Because I admit my house was a complete mess, and it still half is, but it's a lot better now because we spent the entire morning cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
But everything was still hurting from Friday. I had to go into town because my glasses broke.
Oh dear.
On Friday as well. That was one of the things that made it very shitty. It was under warranty, so it was fine. I'm getting new ones in the coming week. It's fine.
Mm.
But yeah, if your legs are hurting, don't be on the back of a motorbike. Because my dad at some point was like, "You're pinching me to the point where it's hurting." To which my reply is, "I am literally stuck. I am cramping up, and it hurts, and I can't pull. I can't spread any wider, and he is not much wider than I am, and I'm a stick." So that was awful.
The important thing is you survived.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, I'm still here, so I'm good.
I remember one time I had a great aunt who her son would get involved with women that would drive her crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And she swore she was going to outlive them for sheer damn spite, if nothing else. And eventually they quit becoming a problem, so when she finally did leave, it was on terms that she could live with.
Mm-hmm.
But for the longest, she was determined to outlive him for sheer damn spite, if nothing else. I'm like, I got to remember that.
Got to create out of spite, and sometimes you just got to keep living out of spite.
Yep. And
I find desperation works really well too.
Oh, well, oh yeah.
What is it? How the saying goes: necessity is the creator of all invention.
Mm-hmm. The mother of invention. Yeah,
the mother of all invention.
Yeah,
laziness is too.
Yep,
it can be.
Let me spend 5 months making this thing, or my entire life, depending on how far back in time you go, to make this one thing that makes my life a little easier, and therefore everyone else around me as well.
Well, sometimes it just starts with a small kernel of an idea.
Yeah.
And
back in the 70s, I heard it said, necessity is a mother.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, life happens. You still got that kernel, but you need more to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, you add a little bit more to it. And eventually, you get enough kernels where you kind of start piecing it together to.
You got a whole bowl of popcorn you can give to somebody else and hope that they like it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
The trouble is, how much butter and how much salt do you add to it before you give it to the other folks?
Yeah, well, sometimes.
Hey, that might have been carrying the simile a little bit too far, but
well, it's that I showed you a couple of weeks ago, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
That's been just a little snippet here, a little snippet there, and it's kind of some of the stuff that I've managed to put together because I don't have enough of it to make it complete, but I've kind of got an idea of where it's all going, and I just got to put enough of it together to make it cohesive.
I wish you had enough time free to where you could concentrate on that because what I read was a damn good beginning.
Sweet.
And that's usually where I have my toughest problems is starting off with something.
Well,
Because
yeah.
usually once I get going, it's like a
Mm-hmm.
steamroller or a freight train. I just,
Hmm.
I start chugging along and going and going and going. And it's hard for me to stop. But it's
Yeah, I
getting
know
to
that
that
one.
point.
For me, it's starting, then it's the halfway point where I meet a man with the hammer,
Hmm.
and then it's those last couple of pages where I'm just screaming through the rest of it,
Hmm.
knowing it will be done, but you don't want it to be done because you actually really like the process of it.
Hmm.
Yeah. You're so attached to the work that you don't want to stop working, but you're afraid if you don't stop working, it'll never end.
Yeah.
Well, and this is another thing. I've got a whole kind of general outline in my head. I mean, I haven't written everything down, but I know there's at this point I've got this going on. Later on, I'm going to add this element to it,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then later on bring this in, and then I'm going to bring something else that didn't seem like it was too major in at another point, and it's going to be like, oh crap, because and another problem I have is deciding on names
Oh no, don't get me started.
for places and things. Once I
Oh,
get that done,
Mm-hmm.
if I can start, belting that out, I'm like, okay, and then it just starts. But I'm real like I want it to be just right, and I'm just like I can't. It's not coming to me yet,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
know that
like
one.
when I know it, I know it, and then like, okay, this makes sense. Okay, so that's then, and it kind of
mhm.
feeds off each other. It's a snowball effect, if you will.
Now I'm one of those people where world building is the easy part.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
also fun,
Oh
and
it
you can
yes.
is.
get bogged down in it because it's so
Oh
much
Lord,
fun.
yeah, yeah. You could,
Ooh,
you could,
yeah.
you can actually wind up losing the story in world building
Mm-hmm.
and have to go back and go. I don't know where the damn story went, but there's another one in here. Now that I've got this perfectly usable world.
Yep.
Um,
And
no.
and see, my original problem was is I didn't. I could either make it fantasy or science fiction.
Hmm.
I kind of prefer science fiction because I can have a much larger playground.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you can't have a rich playground in fantasy, but it's
It's not
generally restricted
quite.
to one world.
Yeah, it's not quite as um, well defined as what I want to say, but that's the wrong words. Um, it's a sci-fi story. You've got a premise that sets up what rules you play by. In a fantasy story, you've got a premise that sets up the rules that it's suggested you play by, but you can violate those if you've got a good enough, um, well, story or exciting characters that
Mm-hmm.
shape the
Well,
story around themselves.
as I read, you generally need to stick to general rules, and there's a reason for that. Is that those rules are usually in place because it's much easier to tell those stories unless you give a clear, defined, and specific reason why something goes
Yeah.
beyond those rules or those rules don't apply to it.
Yeah.
But you also, if you do that, you have to stick to that. You can't put something else in there that totally changes everything that you've already done because you
if you
basically
throw
destroyed
something
the
else
world.
in, you got to go back and foreshadow it inside the stuff you've already written, so
Yeah.
that it makes sense. It's not just totally out of left field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what I have learned about rules is you need to know what they are, so that if you break them, it's for a damn good reason and you understand what the rules are and why you're breaking it and how you're breaking it,
Mm-hmm.
And
and it
have a good
works.
reason for
Yeah,
breaking it.
it has to work. Story logic is a thing.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why people will hate me for sitting down and watching a movie with them, because I'll be in there in the first 15 minutes and go, okay, that's the bad guy, that's the good guy, that's the love interest, that guy's gonna die. And they go, how do you know that? I go, because stories only work when they work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had he wasn't like a household name author, but an author friend tell me one time there's basically only 34 stories, and everything is just kind of a variation on those.
Five,
Yeah. 5.
five. There's
Either
only five.
5, 7, stuff like that. But it
Yeah,
comes
Well,
down to
anyway, he was
yep.
doing a little bit broader interpretation of it. He said, but
And
basically,
and David Crosby owns the copyright to all of them,
mhm,
and he uses them to write music. So we're still free to write stories, but David Crosby owns them all. He's got the paperwork.
but and I have heard so many people use the trope, the hero's journey,
Yep,
and
which is yeah.
yeah,
If you
pre-act
never
structure.
actually studied Campbell's work, and that's where Hero's Journey came from. Was it Jonathan Campbell? I can't remember his first name right now.
Yeah.
I've got the damn book over
Joseph
here
Campbell,
somewhere.
maybe.
Joseph. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
that sounds much more closer. Um, yeah. It's not originally set. You can't break this. You can't go outside of this.
Mm.
This is the way fairy tales work.
Yes.
Now, if you're really, really smart, you can find a way to change things up a little bit and add variations that,
Mm-hmm.
few people have thought of before, but the people that have were, running around in togas.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Oh,
man,
I got one
man, you
really
just
cool
got
update.
the image of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure where they meet
Socrates.
Socrates. Almost said,
Socrates, yeah,
almost said
Socrates.
Socrates.
Yes,
Actually,
I know. It's in context with the characters. Yes, I know.
I actually almost said it the way he did, Socrates.
I
Hmm.
mean,
That
pretty
sounds so
Italian.
Italian, though.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
the Rome was based from Italia, so it's not too wrong. But I actually have a really
Yeah, but
cool update.
Oh,
Socrates was Greek.
I woke up Friday morning, no, Thursday morning, with JD Calderon hitting me up, going, "Hey, I heard you were looking for things to publish in the Netherlands. How about also the Oswald Chronicles and Tall Tales?" So, yeah, that's gonna be the talk tonight.
oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
Yeah,
holy shit. Yeah.
that's a feather in your cap.
Oh my god, dude, you got no idea. If I can get those printed before the first weekend of next month, because then I'm going to be at a Renaissance fair, Castlefest here in the Netherlands, that I've been going for the last 10 years, but I'm going to go to the writers market for the first time there.
Hmm.
Ooh.
I'm going to sell so much shit. Oh my god. I mean, that would make 3 new books in the coming month.
Yeah.
Wow.
That would
Mhm.
be awesome.
Oh my god, I'm stoked.
I
Yeah,
bet.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Yes. This is a red letter day.
that's
It's
splendid
remarkable.
news.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I'm a little bit, you know, things were shit, but holy crap.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh
when
dear
it
lord.
goes from shit to holy crap, that's good.
Well, no, the problem is it started with holy crap and it went to shit.
Oh.
Oh, well, yeah, that's not so good.
You know,
Mm,
it evens itself out eventually, but like,
yeah, life has a
during
way
that
of
whole
getting in
thing,
the frickin' way.
oh man,
The world's an imperfect place. We just got to make the most we can of it.
Hey,
exactly.
I've got to crawl under the house and measure between the floor joists so I can reinforce the floor where we had a water leak that ruined the subfloor
Mm,
Oof.
so that the floor doesn't fall through.
Oof.
I've got little drawings here of what I have to do to reinforce everything, but I
mhm.
have to have accurate measurements
Mm.
of the
Yeah,
particular floor joist. I can't just go, okay, this is what it's supposed to be. Let me make this piece because this one's a quarter inch narrower, that one's a quarter inch
Oh
wider.
no.
No, no, it's got to be exact for every section that I'm gonna have to put a reinforcement in.
well, I don't know how old your house is, Dan, but
It's built in the '60s.
Mm.
I
It was
remember the main high school uh, classroom building back longer than I would care to admit to. The building was originally built during the Great Depression by the Civilian Conservation Corps. And the main beam for the length of the building was not a
Oh no.
plain lumbered milled piece of wood.
mm,
Oh
It was
no.
a 3 foot by 3 foot tree
Mm-hmm.
that they drilled or cut out pieces to put
other
the roof
pieces.
joists in,
Mhm.
trusses, and that was the main support beam for the center line of the roof.
Oh
Well,
no.
uh, mine was built by uh, HUD, the Housing and Urban Development, back in the '60s.
Hmm.
And it was built out of bits and pieces that they salvaged from other construction sites.
Yeah,
Nothing is a full sized piece,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's all patchwork.
yeah, but they can still usually make something decent and sturdy out of something like that.
Well,
Yeah.
it had survived for over 40 years, and then I had a pinhole leak in a copper water line,
Mm,
Mm.
and I didn't find out about it for months.
yeah, I
Oh.
know.
So
Um,
all the chipboard, all the particle board in the hallway and the kitchen and underneath the water heater, especially,
yeah,
has become paper mache.
yeah, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So I've got to get under there and I've got to put some actual real wood, which I bought, up in there to brace um, what's left, and while it dries out some more. Uh, it's been drying for a while, but as it's been drying, it's been sagging.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting that you say that, Dan, because John, Joe, and myself were traveling around looking at some of the homes
Hmm.
around Joe's neighborhood. And Joe said, surprisingly, a number of those were homes that were ordered through Sears.
Now those would be, yeah, those would be much better than what I've got. Let me tell you.
I
Um,
believe one of them, I can't remember if it was Joe or John. It might have been John that said, like, I believe he said 85% of those homes are still standing or and are in good shape to this day.
well,
Oh.
and basically, um, the Sears houses that were designed and built according to the blueprints with the proper materials are
Hmm.
some of the best things to come out of the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't think it of Sears
Yeah.
because nowadays Sears is basically
A
non-existent.
legend.
Yep, but back in the day, those houses were built like craftsman tools.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, they were
Well,
built to last several lifetimes.
well, between those homes and the Levitt towns, those were some of the sturdiest housing built back in those times.
Hmm. I wish that I had that standard of workmanship here, but I've got you know, Friday morning just before quitting time and or Friday afternoon just before quitting time and Monday morning with a hangover sort of construction here. So I'm going to have to thank God I grew up on a farm. I know how to
Mhm.
do this stuff. All I have to do is make accurate measurements and get
Yeah.
under there and put everything in place and make sure that it fits not only side to side, but vertically to support the existing or almost existing floor.
Yeah.
Because my wife wants a new kitchen, and I am terribly afraid that if we rolled in a brand new refrigerator, it's going to wind up in the non-existent basement. You know, it's right
Oof.
through the right through the
Yeah.
floor. Yeah.
Oh
I,
yeah.
Oh
you
yeah.
definitely need to
It's
reinforce and replace what needs replacing of that floor.
it's got to be reinforced, and then I've got to pull up the particle board bits.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm hoping
Particle
that
board is surprisingly sturdy until it gets wet.
Yeah.
that's the thing. It got wet.
And
That's the
once it
thing.
gets wet, it is never the same. I don't
No,
care if
it
you
is it
dry
is
it or
it
whatever.
is
It's
paper mache
just,
after that. It really is.
The house.
Chipboard is a little bit better, but not much. I
yeah.
will be going back with 3/4 inch plywood.
Yeah, that's much more sound
Hmm.
foundation to.
When I was growing up, we were living in a house that had the kitchen being an extension. So it was built later.
Hmm.
They never made a foundation for it. So it was just hanging from the house.
Yes.
The
Mm,
Netherlands is built on um
dikes
a,
and polders.
yeah, but it's black ground. You know, it's old plant matter, so
Yeah.
it sags very easily. By the time we realized, because we were living there for at least 5 years and the thing was built like 20 years earlier,
Hmm.
we found out that there was empty space without foundation or anything holding the whole kitchen up. Um, there was like a yard, like 3 feet depth under it, just empty space.
Mhm.
It
Wow.
was just hanging from the house.
It was just cantilevered from the floor joist, basically.
Yeah,
There was there was nothing going down to the ground to support the extension.
And
we
the
were so
cantilever
happy.
probably wasn't that sturdy.
No,
Depends on what it was built with.
no,
N-
no,
Yeah.
no. This was a house that was built at the start of the last century. So
So
when
early
we,
1900s, late 1800s.
yeah, like early 1900s, I think 1910 or something.
Okay.
And they were workers' housing, so it was literally just build something up and hope it stays for about 50 years.
Mm,
Build something up and hope you
Hope it
don't have.
outlasts 2 generations, and if it does, then we can do another 4.
Hope it lasts longer than your lifetime.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that was fun.
I
My
knew the word I was trying to think of now, Mike. Reclaimed land.
Yeah,
yeah.
no, exactly. Like this was some factory worker. This was some factory owner that made the factory, then started just building as cheap as possible, and every
hmm
single house is a different one because the workers made the houses themselves.
Shanty towns. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Basically, some of them built better than others because different people built them all,
yep.
and
That's the
some folks
second thing
actually
you.
knew what they were doing. Yep.
That's the
Uh,
second thing that made me think of 96 Rock Friday weekend whistle that you've said tonight, Tim.
Hang around the shanty, Mama, and we'll get a good buzz on. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep. My dad's mother's house was built about 1900 or so. It no longer exists, but it was built of chestnut
Mm,
boards, some of them a foot and a half wide. This was before the chestnut blight in the U.S., where you only ever got a chestnut tree that was about
mm-hmm.
3 inches in diameter. Now, foot and a half chestnut, once that
That can
stuff
hold.
once that stuff ages, you can't cut it with a power saw.
No.
It's like steel. Termites run away from it. And we actually had to add a an extension on one side so that Granny got a bathroom and laundry room and extension onto the bedroom and basically put in a hot water heater because my entire life up until I was graduated from high school, she had cold water but no water heater
Oh my god.
and did not have an indoor toilet. One of my jobs when we went to visit Granny, one of my jobs was to take the chamber pot to the outhouse every morning and empty it,
Yep.
come back, rinse it out on the outside tap, clean it up so it was good enough to come back in the house. Um, this is one reason why I I do not have that much of a problem in the men's locker room
Mm-hmm.
because I don't care what y'all smell like. It ain't nothing on the outhouse, let me tell you.
Oh, Lord.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. That thing only got moved twice in 100 years. So,
Oof.
yeah.
Indoor plumbing was a welcome addition to the American South.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I
And
mean,
that's
I'm sure
that's
it was a
one reason.
welcome addition anywhere it wasn't a common thing beforehand, but
That's
definitely in the South.
that's one reason why I was not unhappy to learn how to do PVC pipe as a homeowner. Let me tell you, there were a lot of busted pipes that I had to replace and insulate to make sure they never got busted again. Back when I bought this house from my brother, because basically, um, after he and his first wife split up, this was a walk-in closet for about a decade, and there were times when he just walked in, turned the breakers off, and walked out. No electricity, no heat, nothing to keep the pipes from freezing.
Mm.
So I had to replace a few things when I bought the place. Uh, and still, I mean, I got the. It's a brick house. It's about 42 feet by 27 feet, and it sits on an acre and a quarter of land. And I paid about 50 grand.
Wow,
Yeah.
that
Now
that sounds impossible right now.
I did buy it for my brother, but I bought it 35 years ago. So,
Yeah,
you know, it was
that was a
reasonable.
fairly good sum back then.
It was reasonable, and now it's valued. And all I did is mow the yard and kill some kudzu, and now it's valued at damn near $250,000. And I'm going,
Yeah.
are you blind?
No, Dan, you're in Metro Atlanta. It's worth a lot of money.
I'm not
When
in Metro
I
Atlanta. I am 90 miles away
You're
from Atlanta.
Metro Atlanta is loosely termed because
Anything between
there's
Savannah and
22
Knoxville.
counties.
Yeah.
There's 22 counties in Metro Atlanta if they haven't expanded the metropolitan statistical area. To give you an idea, Mike, Georgia has the second highest number of counties in the United States.
mhm.
There's 159 of them. 22 of them are metro classified as Metro Atlanta. Now, the state with the most counties in the United States is Texas. They have
I'm not
two.
surprised there, but
They
it's a lot
have
bigger.
they have 259 counties.
Jesus.
The reason why Georgia has so many counties is it
They're
was
little.
determined that each county seat should be no more than a day's horse or donkey ride
Mm.
away from each citizen. And we are the largest state in the area east of the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
And the only other state bigger than Texas in area is Alaska, but it's
Hmm.
all the way up there off
Yeah.
the side north of.
That has miles and miles of never discovered nothing.
Yeah,
So
Well, that pretty much describes the entire United States. There's
yeah.
miles and miles of nothing but miles and miles.
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
especially out west.
Hmm.
Texas alone takes, at 60 miles an hour, it takes almost 24 hours to cross.
Yeah.
And it's a third the size of Alaska, if not li- less than that.
And
And Texas is
surprisingly,
bigger than the entirety of the European Union.
and
Well,
Yeah.
the U.S., yeah, the continental U.S., yeah.
No, no, no,
Um,
no.
but
Texas.
Texas,
Just the state of Texas alone stretches from the United Kingdom or Ireland all the way to the Ukraine.
I have done the maps before, trying to
wow,
to explain to people in England how big the U.S. is, and basically, if you put the southernmost point of England in Disneyland or Disney World in Florida, the
Hmm.
northernmost point in England would be somewhere in Kentucky.
Yeah.
and that's only 3 states. Now, Florida is long, and
Florida is slightly smaller than Georgia in area.
mhm,
Yeah. No, like my country, you can drive 2 hours in any direction, or 2.5,
Mhm.
depending on just about.
Yeah.
And you will be in Belgium, Luxembourg, or Germany.
Yeah.
Like,
if I drive 2.5 hours east, I'll be in North Carolina. If I drive 2.5 hours west, I'll be somewhere just on the other side of Atlanta. If I drive if I drive 2.5 hours south, I'll still be in Georgia.
yeah,
Yep.
no, that's the thing. Your town, your cities, your actual bigger cities are bigger than my entire country.
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah,
But
no, I know.
probably not
It's
as much
insane.
fun.
Yeah.
No, a lot more diversity, that's for sure.
You
Ah,
got
well,
a lot of history and
Well,
some
you guys
beautiful
do too. The
scenery.
problem is you destroyed it all in the last 300 years.
no, we haven't been here 300 years.
Almost.
Uh, we're just working on 250 now. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. Um, the church that my father-in-law was a curate in England was about 200 years older than the United States.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and you could walk up to it and you looked at the way it was built and you go, this motherfucker's going to be here in the year 10,000 BC. Ain't nothing getting through them rocks.
yep.
And
Jeez.
the funny thing is, there's parts of it that's been distorted, and there's also parts of it that if you know the right people,
Mm.
they can give you a more accurate version than you will get in any book.
Oh,
Hmm.
for sure.
And
And
we still have places no one, not even the Native Americans, have ever walked on before. It's just empty.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's literally no reason to go there.
and
there's nothing there to go to.
yeah,
No.
um, surprisingly enough, Mike, California is the third biggest state in the area.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's long and skinny and full of
Yeah, that's the
Californians.
only state I've been to.
You have my
If
sympathy.
if you want to see something
Eh,
sad, if you want to see something sad, look at pictures of the area around the Salton Sea.
mm,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yep. I remember that. It used to have water, but it doesn't anymore because
It's got water,
somebody
but it's so toxic it's
yeah,
yeah,
kills anything.
somebody drilled a hole in the bottom of it and it went into the remains of salt mines that were underneath and went.
Well,
hmm,
that
So
and
now
there's
whatever water is still above ground is it makes the Dead Sea look like a water fountain,
yeah,
basically.
and the problem is it has no outlet to any
yeah,
ocean or larger body of water, so it's gotten
And
stale.
very few inputs as
And
well.
they were resort towns built along it that were really
Yeah,
nice at one. And you see them now, and they're just like it's
yeah. They're ghost
sad.
towns. Yeah,
yep. I remember stories from the 1920s when the lake started drying up, and they were talking about the entire uh, millionaire community resort thing got abandoned because it smelled like dead fish because all the
yeah,
fish were dying because the lake had become so toxically salty.
Yeah. And I believe Death Valley has the highest recorded temperature on Earth that's not
Yeah.
in a volcano or some type of geothermal event
100,
or
150,
structure.
180 degrees on a cool day. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
It's called
And
Death Valley for a reason.
Yeah.
it used to be a lake.
Yeah, that's the worst part. I know. It's.
Yeah. The Great Salt Lake used to be an inland sea.
Hmm.
Yeah. There. Oh, there's half a dozen unique varieties of dinosaurs that were walking around there millions of years ago, and now it's salt, and
Yeah.
they use it to run world land speed trials on because it's salt. Nothing
And
can, you know,
Yeah.
it's hard packed salt too. Lake Bonneville.
Hmm.
you can drive 700 and some odd miles an hour there and not worry about having a wreck because it's flat.
Yep.
And actually, I think the last world speed record I saw was in excess of 942 miles an hour.
I wouldn't doubt it at all.
No.
Um,
And it may have went higher since the last I saw.
I mean, considering the speed of sound is 770 miles an hour,
Hmm.
and we broke that back in the what 40s, 50s
Yeah,
with
50s,
the
I think.
with the jet powered cars. Yeah,
Yeah.
and things have only gotten better as far as how fast a car can go. I
Yeah.
mean,
Hmm.
look at
Safety's a
280.
little bit better too.
Yeah, look at 285. I mean, there are people around there breaking the sound barrier every day.
Heck
Atlanta,
yeah.
oh, the watermelon 500. Yes, indeed.
It's if you're not familiar, Mike, I-285 is the perimeter interstate around Atlanta.
The
Hmm.
loop
It
around Atlanta, yeah, rather than
um,
going downtown.
it is surprisingly similar in shape to the state of Maine if you look at it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that one.
If you transpose the two over each other, you would see a general similar
Yeah.
shape. Um,
So imagine France as a highway.
France is a little
Well,
bit bigger than Maine,
yeah. Um,
but I remember there was a radio station in Atlanta talking about asking people, what were they, what were their fears, what were they afraid of, and somebody called in and says, "I'm afraid to drive on I-285," and they're like, "Well, well yeah, you have a point there."
yeah, you should be.
Um,
Lindsay and I
I
take back roads to go to LibertyCon, and we will be taking the same back roads to go to Hallowcon in order to avoid driving on 285. I used to drive 285 on a motorcycle.
Oof.
285 on the top end has 5 or 6 lanes in each direction.
Wow.
Yep.
One of them is an HOV/diamond lane
Yeah.
where you have to have at least 2 people in the vehicle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
It's
carpool
a
lane.
high
High occupancy
occupancy
vehicle lane.
vehicle. Yeah. Yeah. I should have said that 3 beers ago. Um, yeah,
But
The biggest highway
and
we have is 4 lanes each on each side,
mhm,
and those are the ones that will go from pretty much Amsterdam all the way down to Belgium or Germany, and otherwise like 3 lanes at most.
yeah,
okay.
that is the smallest amount of interstate lanes left in Atlanta.
Hmm.
Are 3
Um,
in each direction, unless you get on 575, which there's 2 in each
Yeah,
direction. But you have to go out to the extremes, and 675 I think is 2 lanes in each direction for the most part. There might be a few sections that's 3.
I would describe 285 if you can imagine Germany's Autobahn
Mm-hmm.
full of stupid people and nobody but stupid people.
That is not that is literally not a comparison. That is just the same thing.
Well,
If you've
I,
ever been on the autobahn, I mean, at some places they don't have a speed limit.
Yeah, but 285 is supposed to have one.
Yeah, well, Germany does too. You're only allowed. You're only supposed to go like 80 miles. No, yeah, 80 miles an hour, which is 130 kilometers.
yeah.
In
And that's for
Atlanta,
the
they do
really
80
long
miles an
stretches.
hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone.
Yeah, no, exactly. On the German autobahn, you see 220 kilometers an hour, which is about 150 miles an hour, um, downhill and uphill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the thing about the Autobahn is you have people that get up to that speed and stay that speed. In the United States, you have people that get up to speed and then they slow down to about half that speed and then they'll go 20 miles an hour faster and then they'll slow down
Mm-hmm.
again, which
And then
causes problems for everybody else.
they will
I don't
go
think
Yeah.
you
from
have
the
that as much on the Autobahn.
Well.
ultimate fast lane to an exit without a turn signal
Mm-hmm.
in 100 yards.
And expect you to get out of their way.
Yes.
Yeah. And you want to know what the worst part is about that, especially when it comes to Germany? The exit lanes are only like 50 yards long, if they're that.
Mm-hmm.
So they just go. Woof. Good luck, have fun.
Yeah, really.
Usually, because we're doing it during summer, at the start of summer and at the end of summer, they have a trailer or a caravan or driving a camper with broken mirrors and everything. They just go for it. Good luck, have fun.
In Atlanta, they don't mirrors. Those are suggestions. They just go, oh, I've got to get off here. Stomp the brake and go across 6 lanes of traffic. And then stomp the brake further to go up the exit.
Because they are so self-centered, they don't think about anybody else or anything
Nope.
else. But
Nope, that's I hate to say it, but that's the American way. I'm important. Nobody else is.
Yeah.
yeah, but
That's why I avoid Atlanta as much as possible now.
that's why you and me are a different breed, Dan. Because when we misbehaved, there was consequences, and we got our backsides tore up.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
They have no consequences. They're like, "Don't do that, dear." They're like,
Mm-hmm.
"She's funny. Yeah, I'm gonna do what I want."
yeah, really. The cops actually had some
You put me
authority
in
back in
timeout.
the
All I
day.
gotta do is sit in a corner for 15 minutes. You're doing me a favor. I can think of shit while I'm doing that.
Really, I'll
Exactly.
be on
We'll
my
start
cell
writing
phone.
after.
Oh Lord.
As, as the meme goes, I had my butt whooped as a child. Therefore, I was grown up with something called self-respect for others or respect for
Mm-hmm.
others.
Yeah, that's why they call it rearing a child, because you got a pain in your rear if you didn't pay. Oh
Yep.
Lord.
Yeah, but that's
There's
not.
there's a big difference between growing up in the 50s and growing up in the 90s, let me tell you.
Well,
Yeah.
I had some older members at a family reunion that were talking about, as I said, they were talking about some of these kids that call the cops on their parents for, spanking them or whatever.
Or telling
And
them no.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they were saying, look, there were times when we were little that we didn't like the fact we got a spanking for it. They said, but we appreciate it now. And a child knows the difference when it's being disciplined and when it's having the hell beat out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a big
And,
difference
and
between
And a
Being
child,
told no and child abuse.
yeah, and a child, like I said, they may not be happy about it and saying, stuff like, she abused me or all that. Deep down, they know whether they were doing wrong or not.
Mm-hmm.
And a child may not like it, but when they grow up, they will respect and appreciate the fact that you disciplined them as a child and showed that you care. And they will also understand that you were trying to do something to help
Yeah,
them in the long run.
there's
Whereas if
a
you were
big
just
difference
beating them
between
just to be beating them, they'll know.
Like,
there's a big difference between setting limits and enforcing rules and behaviors and actual abuse. And nowadays, saying no is abuse.
yeah.
Well,
Look,
you.
I'm not even 30, right? So I grew up in the 90s, early odds.
Hmm.
The I never got I never got anything as a slap from my parents except for maybe one time when I was trying to put my hand on the stove, you
Mhm.
know, because
Mm,
kids are stupid.
yeah. Mm.
But if I did something wrong, I knew I was wrong. My
Mhm.
parents did discipline me. They didn't slap me for anything. But, I got my time out. I got, you know, to stay inside and stuff like that. Like, you do get your consequences. You
Yeah.
need those consequences.
Well, one
Yeah,
thing I
but
can
there's
brag
some of them
about,
that.
one thing I can brag about is I never got punished for anything I didn't deserve.
Yeah.
If I if I got spanked, I earned that cuz
Mm-hmm.
I did not pay attention to the rules, and the rules were there for a very good reason, not
Yeah.
for a whim.
Exactly.
And this was this those rules were put in place to protect me as well as to protect others from stupid things that I would have done if I hadn't encountered the rules and been had the rules enforced.
Exactly.
Well, as you said, Dan, a child needs to learn their boundaries and their
Hmm.
limits of what they
Yeah.
should and should not do.
Hmm.
I started to say can and cannot do, but that's a little bit
That's
in one
that's
of those
not
gray
No, they
areas.
exactly
will
right.
do what they can and what they're not
Yeah,
supposed to do.
Yeah,
should and should not is much better than can
Yeah.
and cannot because you
yeah,
can do a lot of stuff that you shouldn't.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, and that's the great thing about someone that has been given those boundaries and shown those boundaries,
Hmm.
because I've actually known of some kids that were so desperate because their parents didn't give a crap one way or another. They would have loved to have gotten their butts beat for doing something wrong just to show that somebody give a damn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the the preoccupation with I don't want to say making a living, but that would be the excuse. The preoccupation with being employed and whatnot.
Well, there's some of them that
Kind
just aren't,
well, yet
they don't have the proper ability or capacity to be a good parent
No.
for whatever
No.
reason.
they weren't raised to be parents. They
Or
weren't
they don't
raised.
have
Period.
or they don't have the
They were
focus
they
or the
were
knowledge
unleashed.
or the desire.
I see so many people my age, that can't hold a job. They oopsed a kid into the world,
Hmm.
Mhm.
or just don't realize, like, they don't, they can't wrap their head around consequences because they didn't
Yeah.
get any. Like, whenever I'm in Amsterdam, right, you always have gangs of kids just hanging around, and usually they're early 20s to early 30s, just hanging around all day, doing nothing, smoking cigarettes, talking to their friends, if they're even talking in the first place, because they're all hanging out on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
And once in a while, we gotta move an office, right? And um, we get extra force from an employment office that usually gets those kinds of guys, because an
Mm-hmm.
employment office only gets the shitty people. The other ones are always working full time and can
Mm-hmm.
keep the job. And 2 days, and you're just so frustrated with how little they care. They just want their cash and they go.
Yeah.
If they even show up.
That's half of the new workforce these past few years.
Yeah.
And then
And
they're wondering why kids nowadays are so depressed and everything. Like, yeah, they got no purpose. They never learned to have a purpose.
They're only taught how to pass tests and do. They don't learn anything.
They
They're
never
they're
learn to
given a game
learn.
and say, "Here, play this and shut the hell up."
Yeah.
really, um, back when I was growing up, the people decried the fact that some folks, instead of having a lot of family involvement, were sit down in front of a TV set and go, "Shut up, watch this, stay quiet." Now, I was lucky enough to have um, aunts and uncles and cousins that would come in, adult aunts and uncles and cousins come in and babysit, and
Yeah.
there were rules, and those rules were enforced, and it wasn't sit and watch the damn TV and shut up.
No.
The TV was not a babysitter.
No,
the The relatives were the babysitter,
The
and they
only
had
times as a kid where I could watch TV all day was when I was sick at home and I couldn't play outside, and the computer was a new thing, so it was only allowed 30 minutes a day.
yep,
mm-hmm.
Like, when I was doing okay, I was at school, then I was playing outside until the lights went off, then had dinner, and I went to bed. We maybe got an hour of watching television, and my parents
Mm-hmm.
decided what we were watching.
Yep.
yep,
Because, yeah,
But you had more of a traditional upbringing, as me and Dan would say,
yeah,
than a lot of these untraditional or what's becoming traditional now, where
yeah.
it's like, "Be quiet, leave me alone. I'm tired because I'm having to work
and
two
it's not
jobs."
entirely from the parents
No,
themselves.
No,
Because,
no.
yeah, both
The
parents now
cul-
have to work full time to pay a rent for a two bedroom apartment, if they can even afford that.
yeah,
Like,
and it,
the culture has changed.
yeah,
yeah,
it's also the friends too, because you don't have friends being brought up the same way as we
Uh-huh.
were.
yeah.
They're like, "Well, so and so doesn't have to do it. Why should I have to?"
I mean, I heard
I
that.
mean,
I tried, because we did.
Yeah,
I lived in a street where you had all the neighborhood kids and they all had different upbringings and stuff. Like, yeah, but they don't have to. I'm like, yeah, well, you're not their kid, so therefore you listen to our rules. Shut up.
and
I mean,
what was once latchkey kids
mm-hmm,
taking care of each other, taking care of their younger siblings
mm-hmm.
when the parents were forced to work full time,
Yeah,
is now gangbangers basically.
yeah.
And this
and,
is
and
this
it,
has gone beyond cities. It's out in the country now too.
yeah, well,
Hmm.
and it's not just the few things we brought up. There's other factors involved as well. We're
Oh
just
yeah,
hitting on
yeah.
some of the major points of it.
It's nowhere
Yeah,
near as simple as we've been putting it.
No,
Everything is much more complex, but
of
the,
course.
the,
and and and
we're hitting the high points.
and there's so much more crap that kids have to deal with these days.
Hmm.
I mean, there was probably some of it when we were younger, but you have a lot more drugs. You have a lot more gang situations. You
Yeah.
have more peer pressure. You have all this other information and
But
stuff to assimilate and deal with that we never thought about or had to worry about.
Yeah.
15 years
And
ago, a social media wasn't a thing yet.
no, not at all.
Nowadays, kids have to think about every little thing they say online, and kids are stupid, let's be honest, because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
So they say something, and 10 years later, they're getting in trouble for one thing they said when they were 5 years old.
Well, and another thing too is as kids' minds start to develop, they start to understand more difficult concepts. Whereas you get the situation which leads to the old joke, it's too bad all the world's problems didn't come along when we were teenagers and
Mm-hmm.
we knew the answers to everything.
Hmm.
But the problem is you're starting to develop this mind, but you don't see all the connections between stuff that you didn't realize there were connections between.
Yeah.
So you might see a simple solution to this, hey, that'll fix everything, but you don't realize there's other things tied into it that if you fix the things that you thought, these other things are going to throw a monkey wrench into the gear work and cause a even bigger problem, or at least cause your solution not to be as effective as you thought it was going to be.
That's one thing that you wind up when you try and make a fictional story as realistic as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You have to consider all these interconnections of things that aren't readily apparent
Yeah.
until, I mean, seriously, uh, I didn't know as a 19-year-old what I should have known and didn't learn until I was about 27. And that's
Yeah.
normal. That's normal. Most kids don't actually develop an adult attitude toward things until they're in their early 30s.
Uh, 25 to 30, that's where the mind is completely developed.
Well,
And
you
then
start
you get, yeah.
Hmm.
you start in your mid 20s to start getting a bigger picture and seeing
Yeah.
the bigger picture.
Hmm.
And
And
There
it
was a
starts getting honed as you get into your early 30s.
there was a reason that Tolkien had hobbits coming of age at age 33,
Yeah.
yeah.
because most kids, no matter what era you grew up in, didn't stop to think about stuff all the way through until they were in their early 30s,
Mm-hmm.
which is why you had so many things happen that young kids under 30 were going, "Hey, this is the peak of civilization." And then when they were over 30, they go, "Oh, I didn't think about that before."
So here's the thing, right? Being someone in that age range, because
Mhm.
I'm turning 29 in a month. I'm a pipsqueak. Um, but there's also the amount of failure you actually went through,
Mhm.
you know? And nowadays, like I started a pretty high education and I dropped all the way down to trade school, right?
Mhm.
Or well, that's the Dutch equivalent of what you guys would have as trade school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um,
And we're trying to teach our kids nowadays that trade school is nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
no, it really isn't.
There's
But
just too much
it,
emphasis
it,
put on a college education.
here's the thing, right? I started with higher education. I'm not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I know that much. I
We
call
know
myself an
that much.
idiot because I'm untaught. I never learned to learn. Grade school was a breeze for me. I knew everything, and then suddenly, I had to do so much. And as a 14-year-old, I had to make my first decision into what kind of education I wanted to go into. I'm 14. How am I supposed to think about 20 years later? Comparatively, there I don't know what 5 years from now is going to look like, because that is 5 years when you're
Yeah.
14.
Yep.
That is a third of your life
At
that you have to look
14, the
forward.
biggest thing that ought to be a worry to you is how can I attract girls and get a date?
Yeah,
And where can
what
I
am I going
go
to
at
eat tonight?
14? Where can I
Yeah.
And
take her?
then at 16, you have to do it again.
Uh
At
huh.
19, you have to do it again.
Mm
And depending on whether you stopped at that point, because the Netherlands has a lot of different layers of education, which is a good
Mm.
thing, but every single one of those layers of education has like 300 or more things to choose from that you can get into.
And how
And
would
it's
you
hard to
know
decide.
until you actually find out not only what you're good at, but what you're interested in and good at the same
Yeah.
time?
The only reason I went into art full time is because I was working as a paver. I'm a construction worker by trade.
Mm.
Those people are so fucking shit to work with that I told myself, I'm never doing this again. I'm gonna drop this job and I'm gonna go into art because I know I can do this. But doing that job and feeling so shit doing it pushed me to learn the discipline to still keep going. No, I know it sucks, but you gotta do it.
Well, and I've got a variant opinion because I've been 45 years as factory labor, and I go, this is how I afford to be able to explore what I'm good at. This is
Yeah.
how I learned that yes, I can draw and paint. Yes, I can be a musician. Yes, I can be a composer. Yes, I can be a writer. But this is how I have to pay the bills.
And that's where I went for a moving job, because from the start, when I dropped that full time job, I went, I'm gonna find a side job that will take me 2 or 3 days a week where I can pay the rent. I know my bills. I can take commissions beside it if I really want to expand or need, anything extra.
Mm.
Hmm.
But the main thing is I want to focus on this. Therefore, I have to take it easy on one thing. I'm a single living guy. I got a really nice apartment with a really low rent because we have social rent. So it's mandated to be very low by government. It's very limited, but I was lucky. This was literally a lottery apartment.
Keep turning
So there
your
were
glass
3,500
up.
people that replied to this, and I got it as a 22-year-old idiot, and I could barely afford it at the time. So I'm lucky. I will 100% stand behind that. For the first 3 years living here, I couldn't afford anything other than my bills, food, and moving to work. So, okay, I had that settled. Found this side job as a mover. I've worked all kinds of side jobs because I know that's time that I have to give in order to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. Like the side job is fine, but yeah, I'm working towards one thing, and this is my means to an end.
Hmm.
Yes,
And
but you're also
yeah,
smart enough and wise enough to see what it was that you needed to do to be able to do what you wanted to do.
yeah,
Yeah,
And you
there's
and you
there's
don't have to feel bad about not discovering what you wanted to do till you were considerably older than 14, because a
yeah,
yeah,
lot of
there's
folks
there's a
don't
big
know what
difference
they want to do.
between a vocation which you are drawn to, which you are good at, which you have talents to achieve, and the thing you do to pay the bills.
earlier
And
this week,
when you can
right?
tell the difference between the two, and mesh them into an existence where you're comfortable enough to pay the bills. You're not going to go hungry. You got a roof over your head. You don't have to worry about uh, changing apartments every 2 years because the rent got raised sky
Mm-hmm.
high because some greedy bugger decided that a one-room apartment was no longer $200; it was 500,
Yeah.
and you've got now you have the knowledge to pursue something that is fulfilling,
Mm-hmm.
that you're good at, but you still have to have this job to pay the bills to allow you to pursue your vocation. Uh, I, I I don't know that I said that exactly right.
No, but
I
it's
know
a,
what I'm
yeah.
trying to say, but
Yeah.
I think I got
Yeah,
close. But
So
we
here's the thing,
understand what
right?
you're getting at.
Um, when JD hit me up earlier this week, I was like, okay, so if I want to get that before the next convention I'm going to, how am I going to get those 3 books printed? Because I have another one that needs to be printed too, and I only, figured out, okay, I'm going to make this month and this much this month, therefore I can afford this and this and this.
hmm
Now there's suddenly 2 more books. I instantly went send a message to my to the planner for my side job, going, "Hey, you can put me full time until the end of August, um, because I'm gonna make 60-hour weeks. Like
yeah,
even on 3 days, I make like 40 hours.
yeah.
So
I pulled a
um,
64-hour week last week.
Yeah,
yeah, no, like and I
That
know
that was
they're
not
heavy days.
normal. That was not normal. I
No,
normally pull a 40-hour week, but
mm-hmm.
there are folks that have not been fully trained yet that can't be put full time in that position. So I had to fill in on
Yeah,
overtime. So
but
that's
but at least you were able to make extra income off that.
well, that's the thing. That's the thing. I am a year and a half away from retiring, and I got the 40-hour a week job so that the 48 to 74-hour a week job did not kill me before I was
Mm,
able to retire.
yeah,
yeah,
And I'm getting a side eye from people in management because I'm not willing to work whatever they want.
yeah.
I'm willing to work what I contracted for.
yeah,
And that is an imposition on their
Yeah.
uh, ability to not hire enough people to do the work.
But their problem is not your problem.
Well, I try very hard to make sure that their problem is not my problem, but they're French, and I'm going,
Hmm.
and
Okay, fair enough.
and sometimes the management doesn't
I
care.
think my God the full picture there when I said where the company is based in. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're still quite feudalistic, medieval
It's France.
mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the lords of the earth, and I'm going, no, you're not.
No.
yeah,
No. Like there, with construction, I knew I wasn't going to go anywhere. I couldn't grow as a person, right? That's why I quit. And with moving, I'm growing as a person on a social level. Like I am somewhat autistic. Like
Yeah.
at this point, I looked at the checklist and I was like, okay, that's pretty close. Whatever.
hmm Yeah. Um,
But
I've
I'm
checked
working
all the
pretty well
boxes
as a
myself.
team. Like I'm working in a team. I'm doing great. I don't care. I'm working with fun guys. You know, it's all together because that's how you gotta move. You know, it's not. It's it's how it goes. And with construction, there was none of that. You know,
No.
there was no supportive mindset. And getting into comics, I realized how much I had been missing that support
Yeah.
Yeah.
for years because in construction, everything goes over in someone else's back. You know, backstabbed after backstab, and usually it was
Mhm.
me. And I
Well,
was like, I'm
not
not going to
only
do that
that.
anymore.
There's a big difference between what you are best suited to do, your avocation, your vocation, and what you have to do to survive.
Yeah,
And sometimes, unfortunately, I mean seriously, unfortunately, what you have to do to survive tries to subsume what you want to do, what you
hmm
have a talent to do, what you are meant to do, if I can use that. I mean, that kind of brings in predestination, but that's neither here nor there. But what you are, well, for want of a better word, drawn to do,
yeah.
and yeah, well, for you and as an artist, that's kind of ironic, but for me as a
No,
writer,
Mm.
yeah,
it is the right word for it.
And
yeah,
it's
And
fitting.
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
um,
You
and
you should be able to do your artwork, do your scripting, and do the comics and everything else that goes along with it. I should be able to do uh, my writing and my music and my artwork and just that's what I was put here to do.
yeah,
But in order to pay the bills, I've
and
got
those
to
sacrifices are fine,
Yeah.
well,
but they
yeah, they are.
shouldn't
They are. They are.
destroy what you're actually your wants and needs shouldn't be destroyed by the thing that you have to, and
Mhm.
that's where the problem usually comes in.
Yeah. I agree 100%. What you are best suited to do, what you are drawn to do, what you are basically your purpose in life should not be swallowed up by what you have to do to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But this is the way the world works.
Hmm.
You have to pay the bills and then you do what you have a
Yeah,
talent for doing.
And I think all of us can agree that the stuff that we're interested in and we have a passion for, not everyone that we've worked with and are
no,
working with share that interest or that passion
Oh
or
Lord, no.
no,
anything to it. But as Dan
Oh,
says, you have to make a living so you can have an opportunity to take a stab or a chance at the stuff that you're interested in, drawn
yeah.
to, and motivated to do.
Well, it's like when Mike asked me to do the little snippet of music for Cora.
yeah,
Hmm.
It's like, oh wow, I get to use my talents. And
and
I don't know how long it took, but it took me
yeah,
a
a
while
couple
to
of
get
weeks.
to it. But it was probably only 2 days that I actually used to create the little snippet of music. And I'm going, this is what I'd love to do.
Mhm.
And I've pulled up the word processor file of the next book I'm working on and go, oh yeah, this is what I need to do.
Yeah,
And the the painting that I want to do for the cover art for the next book I want to finish. this is what I need to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. But the bills come first, which is,
Yep.
you know, this is this is life. This is the way it works. We don't have to like it. We just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And the
And
thing is, if you have that experience, you're not going in over your head and you start planning around. Like, I finally, after 5 years of doing this, have a weekly planner.
Excellent.
Like, it's, um, and a lot of post it notes as well. Uh, but you learn those things because you are stuck between the haves, the wants, and the needs. And as
mhm,
long as you know how to plan between all those, because yeah, there are times where I have 2 days working my side job, one after the other, but in the middle of the night, I have to do a live show with someone because I need to promote,
it's a
because I got a crowdfunding campaign going on or whatever. You just got to do it. And I
it's
hate
walking a
myself.
tightrope. It's walking a tightrope. It really is.
Yeah.
You've got the stuff you have to do, the stuff you want to do, and the stuff you need to do because you're
Yep.
driven to do it. This is your creative side versus your practical side versus your utilitarian side, if you can imagine a three-sided person. Um,
And those things flow around. That's the thing too. Like
yeah, yeah.
nothing.
The balance is always every day. The balance is different.
Yeah.
Okay, today I've got to do this. Tomorrow I get to do that. Day after tomorrow I kind of really need to do this other thing, but
Mm-hmm.
if I don't get time from the other two, I
You
can
push it
kind
to
of
next
reschedule
Tuesday, and
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
like currently I'm doing two live shows, right? I'm doing Hang on Animation on Wednesdays with just me doing animating for the pilot for about an hour because
Mhm.
the last 2 months I've been working on Wednesdays, so I'm very tired, right? Because at 7 p.m. my time, and then on Saturdays I do a draw stream with guests with Marv. So that is about 1.5, 2 hours. Nowadays, that is usually the only time that I get to draw.
Yeah. And then you come on here because, hey, I need to blow off steam.
Yeah, and they're fun. Like
Yeah.
if I'm free on
This is
Thursday, I join Luke Stone because
yeah.
it's fun.
This is recreational time,
Yeah,
but you still have to go. Okay, when this is over, I've got to get creative, or
exactly.
I've got to go build something.
No, after this, I'm gonna start continue inking. Like I'm literally this far into a page. There we go. Like this is all I got so far.
Nice.
Hey, well, at least you got everything
It's a
framed
start.
there.
Yeah, no, and the next sheet is done too, so I just have to ink it, and all my rendering comes out in inking.
Hmm.
Like I pencil so fast that I spent like 3 hours on inks and maybe 30 minutes on pencils. Um, so
Well, yeah,
usually,
the inking
like,
is a little bit more complex. The pencils
oh, a lot
are
more.
a raw sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand artwork. Um, you should see some of the stuff I painted. I'm hoping you will see something that I have painted anew real soon. But I've got to finish the damn book first before I'm allowed to do the cover art. So I know what I want to do. It's there. It's in my head. That it's a complete full drawn or full blown drawing that I have yet to set pencil on paper for.
Yeah.
And then once I get the book done and I'm free to pick up the paintbrush and the canvas and actually start on the painting. I I look at look at paintings as a reward for me putting up with the rest of the world
Yeah.
for the rest of
No.
the damn time,
Same.
because I so seldom get to do artwork that
Hmm.
isn't on the computer and instant. You know, with my hands, mix the colors, do the brush strokes, lay out the composition. Everything has to align. Everything has to, and it has to be more than the bare minimum of what I want. It has to be what I desire,
Yeah.
or it's not going to feel good. And when it comes to artwork, if it's not what feels good, I'm wasting an awful lot of time. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm not under contract to do any of this. This is, I have a vision of what I want. It's one still frame, and is as if I took a snippet out of an animated movie and I
Yeah.
go, I've got to do this, and it's got to be to my quality, my desired quality of completion and uh, execution. And if I stumble anywhere in that, I'm not going to feel good about it. I'm not going to want
No.
to use it. But I'm going to put in the time that it takes for me to be satisfied with what I want for this particular little bitty thing. I mean, it might wind up being. I think it's going to wind up being a 11 by 14 on a canvas. You know,
Nice.
well, front and back cover, but
Hmm.
for a paperback. Um, I'm not going to try and do the spine, but I,
No, but that's fine.
nobody knows. I might actually work the damn thing in, and then somebody else with more talent than me is going to figure out how to put the graphics in there. I mean, I could do it, but that would slow me down. I mean, I'd have to have the painting done first, and but I would have to have the uh, the front cover, the spine, and the back cover plotted beforehand as far as the measurements are concerned. And whereas if I do it the way I'm thinking of it, it's just a landscape,
Hmm.
and it'll wrap around, and whatever needs to be added in as text and whatnot. I can I can plan to execute the drawing and the painting to leave room for that, but I don't have to actually do it myself unless I am far enough ahead of getting it done to where I can go, okay, let's turn this thing sideways and let me put my name on it, you know, and the title, and I could do that, but I'm more concerned with front cover, back cover, blurb, uh,
Yeah.
title space, you know. Um, and when I turn it into the publisher, they'll be able to go, okay, cut here, cut here. This is the spine. We'll do that, and this is the title. This is the back cover blurb. Everything good to go, and a lot of that is in the composition, basically.
Yeah.
I've got to put the focus of the composition for the front cover to where there's room for the title and the byline. I've got to do the composition of the back cover where there is room for the cover blurb, and if somebody does a review or whatever,
Hmm.
um, advanced reader copy review sort of thing, I
Yeah.
guess. And that's up to the publisher. Um, but right now, I've got to finish the story. I've got to be satisfied with it. I've got to do as much editing as I can do myself. And then I can cut loose with the canvas and paintbrush. And then on to the next book.
Mm-hmm.
It never ends. It never
It
ends.
really doesn't. No. I mean, I got 5 more scripts ready for Cora.
Oh,
Between
Lord.
being a project manager and paying for other artists and everything, I know the feeling. It does not end.
Well, I want you to know if you need me to do more music, no charge.
I will probably hit you up when, I first have to get so much more done on the whole thing, you know, I got the animatics, stuff like that. I gotta finish the animatic. I have to time it to voice acting, animate it, roughly, then do all the line work, all the coloring, and just, this is gonna be a several year work.
That is why I am saying this is a labor of love, and I will
Yeah,
do it because I love it.
yeah, no, that is the most, that is why I'm doing it, like I tell everyone up front, like I don't have the cash to do anything big or professional. Like this is just
Hmm.
me doing my thing. What I did find out yesterday as well is the creator of, well, not the creator of Adventure Time, but the original greenlighter of Adventure Time, Frederator, the CEO of the company, left last year and started a new publishing company, Fred Film,
Hmm.
and they are taking submissions. So I might just send them the Love on Korra pilot once I'm done.
Cool.
But again, that is future talk. That's the thing too. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I first got to get the thing going. I have no experience in this, so I'm not going to be like, I know exactly what I'm doing. No, that's not how it works. You
Yeah.
know?
No, we're creative. We never know what we're doing. We just know what
No,
we're happy with once
exactly.
once we see it.
Mm-hmm.
Once it feels right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If it feels right, do it. If it feels really good, do it
Do it
till you
again.
pass out.
Not until your arms hurt,
Yeah.
Mm.
because then
Oh,
you can't do it again.
Yeah.
mm.
Not without some rest, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of rest, it is about 10
Yep.
minutes to 4 o'clock. So
Yeah.
We
I'm
have
gonna
we
have
have
to,
gone almost 3 hours, gentlemen. So and I
but I
thank
was
you for
enjoying it.
I thank you
For
for
sure.
every minute. I really do. And Joe Dog's going to pop in here in 15 minutes and go, "Is Dan awake?" Um, let's just go ahead and say goodnight, and I'll click on the bedtime story, and we will rejoin this wonderful experience at a later date. And I thank you very much for being here and for just being fun to be with.
You're welcome. It was fun,
Yeah.
and
With
go
pleasure.
good, guys.
Yeah.
Stay awesome.
Okay. Have fun storming the castle. Good night, everybody.
Oh.
Transmission overload. System will shut down. System will shut down. System will shut down.
What, you're still here? We're going to bed. Good night. Move along.